The average savings rate in the United States is shockingly low, alarming actually, far lower than most people realize, and the reasons for this go beyond just the obvious. You might manage to set aside a little bit of extra cash one month, only for unexpected bills and charges to pop up out of nowhere. Saving money often feels less like a choice and more like a constant struggle against a tsunami of expenses. Recent government numbers show that the typical American is only setting aside about 4.5% of their after-tax income. When you break it down, that figure covers everything: retirement contributions to 401ks and IRAs, money put into savings or investment accounts, and even paying down debt. It's a surprisingly small percentage once you realize how many goals it's supposed to cover. Picture someone bringing home $60,000 per year. Saving 4.5% of that works out to about $2,700 per year, or roughly $225 each month. That might sound decent at first glance, it's definitely something, but keep in mind that's total savings, not just what's going into savings or a retirement fund. That $225 could be split across everything: retirement, emergencies, and any other savings goals. At this rate, one surprise expense could wipe out years of progress in the blink of an eye. The goal here isn't to shame anyone. That 4.5% figure reflects real challenges we all face: rising living costs, mounting debt, and constant financial pressures. So why is the savings rate so low? Historically, Americans have saved a lot more. Back in the 1960s and 70s, people were putting away around 10% of their disposable income. Over the years, that number gradually slipped, especially after the 1980s, dropping into the single digits. Now it sits below 5%, and several factors have driven this shift. The most obvious, the rising cost of living, has been a major hurdle. Housing prices continue to climb, healthcare expenses keep going up, and college tuition is becoming more and more unaffordable. All of these costs take a bigger bite out of your paycheck every year. Equally, if not more alarming, is the increasing availability of easy credit, which adds another layer of challenge. Think about the last time you got a credit card offer in the mail or online. Maybe it promised 0% interest for the first year or offered a sizable cash bonus if you spent a certain amount within a few months. These kinds of incentives are designed to encourage people to open accounts and rack up balances as quickly as possible, making it easier to spend beyond their means before they even realize it. Car loans are another big factor, and it's a double-edged sword. For one, getting financed is insanely easy. If you've got decent credit, you can scroll into a dealership, sign a few papers, and drive off in a car that might cost half your monthly income. No money down, no real proof of income required. Dealers make it easy on purpose, and salespeople are pros at getting you excited enough to forget about the math. That's why so many people end up with car payments they never actually stop to think through. On top of everything else, there's a quieter but huge factor: not having much discipline with money or life in general. It's not just about how much you earn or spend. Actually saving takes habits and choices that are hard to stick with. Think about it. Someone grabs their morning coffee, then spends half an hour impulse buying on Amazon, skips tracking their budget, and figures, "I'll start saving next month." Even with the best intentions, small temptations like that add up, and before you know it, there's nothing left to put aside. Pair that with rising costs and credit that's too easy to swipe, and it's no wonder so many people barely manage to save anything at all. Then there's a huge one: lifestyle inflation, which can quietly keep you on the hamster wheel without you even noticing. This isn't just about individual paychecks and spending going up, it's also part of a broader generational shift. Older generations often recall a very different way of living: families with one car, a house with a single bathroom, kids sharing bedrooms, meals mostly cooked at home, and vacations were rare. They had the same kitchen for their entire life. Furniture was kept for decades, and hand-me-downs were the norm. Weddings consisted of backyard parties, and indulgences like chips, candy, or soda were mostly reserved for holidays. Fast forward to today, and lifestyle inflation looks very different. As incomes rise, it's easy to spend more on conveniences, the latest gadgets, entertainment, and travel. Homes get renovated every 5 years to match trends, vacations are expected to be impressive on social media, and eating out becomes routine. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying these things. A comfortable lifestyle is positive if it's done responsibly and after your savings are taken care of. The problem comes when people put upgrades first when they know their finances are trash. Those small and large expenses stack up quickly, and before you know it, your savings rate drops to zero, or worse, you're spending more than you bring in. Lastly, many people just don't have a solid grasp on the basics when it comes to money. Things like how much cash to keep in checking, how much to save, or how much to set aside for retirement can feel completely foreign. For example, someone might get paid, cover the bills, and spend the rest without realizing that they should be building a small emergency fund first. You'd be shocked to realize how many people rack up a credit card balance not acknowledging that they'll ever need to pay it back. When you don't know what healthy money habits look like, it's easy to just do whatever's easiest at the moment. Mix in the confusing world of credit cards, loans, and investments, and it's no wonder so many people feel like they're flying blind financially. Everyone's first reaction is that very low incomes are the cause of all this, and it's understandable. But it's not just entry-level or low-income earners who struggle with saving. In fact, Bank of America found that 1 in 5 families making over $150,000 per year are still living paycheck to paycheck. Even with what most people would consider to be a solid income, a surprising number of people don't have enough left over after bills and expenses to build meaningful savings. Making a lot of money doesn't automatically fix money problems. Big paychecks can disappear fast if lifestyle choices, surprise expenses, or bad habits take over. It's way better to earn less and spend wisely than to make a lot and burn through it recklessly. Once you learn to identify the fluff and meaningless spending, you'll be shocked at how little you actually need or want. For example, someone might think they need the newest phone, a subscription for every streaming service, and brand name clothes, only to realize that what truly makes them happy is a night out with friends, a good book, or a weekend at the beach. Cutting the unnecessary stuff doesn't feel like a sacrifice, it just frees up space for what actually adds value to your life. One of the sneakiest traps is the idea that future me will handle it. We convince ourselves that we'll start saving more after the next raise, once the car is paid off, or when life finally settles down. It feels harmless to push savings into the future, assuming that someday it'll be easier. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Future me usually ends up with the same bills, the same spending habits, and sometimes even bigger problems. Future me isn't some wiser, more disciplined version of ourselves just waiting in the wings. They're us, with the same patterns and temptations we have right now. If today's you struggles to save $200 a month, tomorrow's you won't magically start saving $500 just because more time has passed. Without a change in behavior, more income often just leads to more spending, not more saving. This is why breaking savings down into comfortable amounts is helpful. Take $10,000 a year, for example. It seems enormous and overwhelming for someone who doesn't save a dime, but when you break it down, it's only about $27 a day. That's less than a fancy coffee and a takeout lunch. But if we keep deferring savings to future me, those $27 a day opportunities get ignored over and over. 5 years of putting it off means missing out on $50,000 in savings, not counting the compounding growth you could have earned. It's really not about finding the perfect reason to save or blaming all the obstacles in your way. Saving consistently comes down to building discipline and habits that last, little routines that make putting money aside automatic instead of optional. For example, imagine someone who decides to automatically transfer $100 to savings every payday. This will feel like a stretch to most people who have never done it, especially with bills and everyday expenses. But after a few months, that transfer happens without thinking, and they start noticing how their money behaves differently. Small emergencies don't throw them off, and there's even a sense of relief when unexpected expenses pop up. Pointing fingers at high rent, rising prices, or tempting ads won't create that security, but a simple habit, repeated consistently, will pay off for years to come. Even just being the slightest bit intentional, you'll be able to save way more than 5% of your income. Small, consistent choices are what set you apart and build real financial breathing room over time. Paying attention, making deliberate choices, and actually saving something is exactly what leads to a future where bills aren't stressful, surprises don't derail you, and you have options most people only dream about.